Now we're going to talk about text wrapping. Text wrapping is pretty cool in Adobe InDesign. We're going to do a quick little example. We're just going to scroll down. We're going to end up creating this spread. So we're going to be able to create custom text wraps by the end of this quick lesson. So let's kind of go over the basics of text wrapping. Let's scroll all the way down to this blank spread. And let's bring in a circle container. So just doing the ellipse frame tool, going to hold Shift so I can get a nice dimensional circle. And let's go ahead and release. I'm going to make that a color so I can kind of see that a little bit better, or I can toggle on my W key and be able to see my frame that way. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag in a simple photo, and I'm going to right click and do some fitting. I'm just going to fill frame proportionately. And there's our little photo. So what we can do, let's bring in some generic type. So I'm just going to take our type tool and just create a couple columns. I'm going to go to my properties, go all the way down to fill with placeholder text. And let's create a couple of columns. Let's do 2 equal columns. So we have our 2 columns. We learned how to create the columns just recently. And so now what I want to do, let's make sure these columns are even. So we want to have nice even columns. Go ahead and collapse our text box. So we have 2 equal columns. I want to reduce this in size. I'm just going to reduce this in size and bring it over. What I want to do is I want to have a text wrap happening. So I'm going to bring my photo on top. So I'm just going to do Command right bracket and bring that on the top, or I can go in my layer system and drag it on top, make sure the photo is on top. And I'm going to go to text wrap options. It is in my properties panel. If you have an older version of InDesign, you could simply go up to Window and go down to text wrap. It's going to have its own little panel. But I'm right here in my properties panel, and there's a couple of different text wrapping options you have. You can have no text wrap. You can have wrap around the bounding box. So you have this little bounding box that naturally happens. But if you see that, it's kind of gives it a square look. We want it to kind of go all the way around the circle. So we're going to do this one right here. It's the third option, wrap around object shape. So I'm going to wrap around object shape, and voila, we can move this around. So I'm making sure I got my blue border here, so I'm going to move the whole photo around. And you could be able to create all sorts of really interesting text wrap options. So let's say I have this a little bit smaller, and it's going to be right here in the center of my 2 columns. Let's go ahead and move in. And let's say the text is kind of getting really close to the edge here. That is too close to the photo. We really want to have some white space and some breathing room. There's going to be some text wrap options that'll allow you to put more border around here, some blank space, so that we can have some breathing room with our type. So we're going to go over to this little option. It's going to say more options, and it's going to give us some more options with our text wrapping. This is going to be padding, or really it's called offset, but it kind of creates a padding around the photo so that it'll expand out the text a little bit more. So you can see how it's given it a little more breathing room. And you can do it all together. You can link them all. So we have top, bottom, left, and right side of the object. So since it's a circle, it's automatically going to link all these. If it was a square, you can unlink and just do one side if you really just need padding on one side of a square, for instance. So let's go ahead and reduce this so you can manually type in the number. You're not stuck with whatever increments it has. So if we want to do something in the middle, like maybe just 0.1 inches, we can find the right spacing or padding around the photo. So this is dynamic, just like it is when we did the overflow text. So we can move and shift this photo around and it will automatically shape it. So we can do the same thing with multiple columns, but we can create our own custom shape. We're not stuck with these shape tools and container tools and dragging in photos. We can do something more custom than this by drawing a shape and then applying text wrap options to that shape. So we're going to do an example of this and create this spread that you see right here.